are the challenges of working with wood?
Well, it really, there are different ways of thinking wood. Normally, if you think of wood construction, it's a very additive process where, you see the elements and they kind of are put together in a, let's say, logistic way. With the wood that we are using, you can create very kind of, let's say, organic structures that melt one element into the other one. So that's a different way of thinking timber. It's more of maybe either working with cardboard in the Seville project or even like fusing them, because the joints you can create are very strong and you don't need to be kind of flexible and keep that kind of on a distance, but on the other hand connected. The wood, of course, is something that needs to be taken care of on a regular basis. If you just keep the wood exposed to the weather, it needs to be repainted every maybe 5 years, 3 to 5 years, to keep it weatherproofed. Also, you need to consider, if the wood becomes a structural element, about 2 centimeters of the wood are the weatherproofing part, and then everything that's inside of the 2 centimeters is the structural part that you can consider. With the way we used it with the polyurethane coating, you can actually use all the wood because the weatherproofing part is done by the polyurethane, so you can reduce the amount of wood that you use. And also with the laminating, it becomes much stronger, and you can create different spans and different kind of structural possibilities. So wood really transforms right now in new forms of, let's say, products that it's produced. And so in a way, we have to rethink what we think wood construction is.
Just adding to it, with the wood, does the maintenance cost increase then?
Sorry?
With the wood, when you use wood, more of wood, the maintenance cost, as you said?
Well, now, since the polyurethane, covers it, you only have to repaint it every 15 years out of like aesthetic reasons. Before, if you don't have the polyurethane, you have to repaint it every 3 to 5 years because of, let's say, structural integrity and keeping the wood kind of alive, healthy. So the polyurethane actually covers it and makes the weatherproof.
Hi, Juergen. It's an amazing design. I just wanted to know that, did you find it difficult to convince the citizens of the city? Because there must have been many people, it's so radical and so different from the existing architecture. Did you have a problem with that? Did you have to work on that, or did the city government itself do that?
I think the intelligence of the project or the process actually happened before architects came in. The city decided to make an ideas competition, not to put the pressure that if there is a winner, this needs to be built. But it was anonymous in the first phase and then kind of announced in the second phase, where 10 architects and 10 proposals were discussed. So every design, every text, every drawing was uploaded on the website. You could comment, and there was a whole discussion going on already on the website. In that discussion, our project was really favored enthusiastically on the people at least who wrote and discussed. So I think the city understood that maybe there is finally, after years of trying to figure out what to do with this space in the center of the city, there's finally a project that has the support of the people. It's not a drop sculpture that is a result of a competition. It's already a process, and we carefully listened to what was discussed, where we might have been not sensitive enough to certain issues, where we can be more brave and more extravagant with the project. After the decision was made and the city then decided it has so much support, let's do it. And the mayor, of course, wanted to leave a mark on the city, and he finally wanted to find a solution for this really kind of deserted area in the very heart of the city. So after we won the competition, the city organized a couple of events where I had to go and talk to schools, to pupils and students. I had to go to VIP clubs and to the landmark department. They really wanted me to communicate with all different sectors of the society: young people, old people, people who are engaged in political discussions, people who actually just care about preserving their wealth and so forth. So I think this was really the management of that communication that was important. And there was not much, let's say, negative response, only from the kind of more Catholic people, and let's say middle-aged people had problems. The young people were enthusiastic, and the old people were happy to finally see that the city is changing again. So it was more like between, let's say, maybe 45 and 60, this was like the critical part.
Juergen?
Just wanted to ask you if there are any particular software challenges and what software did you decide to finally use, or was there a process with that as well?
Well, the process was very messy, as you've seen also with our sketches. We do hand sketches, we do real models. Of course, we work with 3D software, and I think we used all kinds of software that were available, except for Grasshopper. But I think we worked on Rhino, Maya, ArchiCAD, whatever you have there.
I just wanted to ask you that, can you talk more about the ecological impact of cutting wood and using polyurethane as a wet-proof, and also can you talk more about safety, especially fire, in terms of wood?
For the Metropol Parasol.
For parasol.
Yeah. Well, we compare different structural solutions, and it always depends on what kind of comes into the foreground in terms of sustainability issues. Sustainability is not only, let's say, to be ecologically, correct or innovative. It means also to be socially aware. So, what is the impact on the kind of the social structure of that environment? What are the cultural implications? Does it work economically? So if you don't make money with a project, it's not sustainable in a way because you cannot reinvest it. And what are the, let's say, the discoveries in finding solutions that you can take from there, maybe as a learning process for other projects. But in terms of, let's say, ecological issues, of course, the timber is an important factor as something where you kind of collect the carbon, in the air through the plants and then bring it to the site. With the polyurethane coating, you save material and you also save investment in the maintenance costs afterwards. With the shadow, you create a certain climate that is, makes you available, makes the space available for hanging out. And in terms of its construction procedure, the pollution, the noise pollution during the construction was very limited because there was only little time. It was prefab and then put together on the site. So there were a couple of issues. But in the very beginning, the city said maybe we should build it in steel because their ship wharf, where they built big, ships and cruise ships in Seville, ran out of projects, ran out of ships to build. So the sustainability part in that case would have been to actually provide jobs for people who work in Seville by building it in steel. At that point, it was not really an issue because, well, it was considered for a while, but the steel prices went up so heavily in 2003 because of the Chinese market that there was no kind of security in terms of the budget if you would go for steel. Then, the issue of timber came back because it was a way where the connection, even if you build it in steel, the maintenance of that steel to constantly repaint it is something that is really considerably much higher than the wood construction here. So it's a very complex network, but in the end I think the solution we found was really good.